The true identity of I am, the secret within your own breath. Be still and know that I am God. These words, etched into the heart of the ancient scriptures, have been misunderstood for centuries. We have been taught to look toward the heavens, to petition a deity sitting on a distant throne, or to plead with a power outside of ourselves. But I tell you now that God is not a man in the sky. God is not a force existing apart from you. The most profound truth ever discovered, the secret that changes every fiber of your being, is this: your own wonderful human imagination. Your very sense of awareness is the God of whom the prophet spoke. When you say the words, I am, you are not just making a grammatical statement. You are announcing the presence of the Creator. This is the name that was given to Moses in the burning bush. When he asked, "Who shall I say sent me?" the answer was not a list of rules or a description of a physical being. The answer was simply who I am, Tihat I am. You must understand that I am is your first person awareness. It is the unconditioned consciousness that exists before you add any label to it. Before you are a man or a woman, before you are American or British, before you are rich or poor, you simply are. This formless, faceless awareness is the foundation of all that you see in your world. It is the clay from which all circumstances are molded. Consider for a moment the power you wield every single day without realizing it. Every time you attach a word to those two sacred syllables, you are issuing a divine decree. If you say, I am tired, you are commanding the universe to manifest exhaustion. If you say, I am unlucky, you are instructing the atoms of your reality to arrange themselves in a pattern of misfortune. You are the high priest in the temple of your own mind, and every thought is a sacrifice on the altar of consciousness. The world you see around you, with all its joys and its heartaches, is nothing more than a mirror. It is a giant screen that reflects back to you the image you have formed of yourself. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change the reflection. They break the mirror, they shout at the screen, they try to move the objects in the external world through sheer physical force. But this is the way of the shadow. To change the world, you must change the I am that is projecting it. If you find yourself in a state of lack, do not look at your bank balance to tell you who you are. If you look at the evidence of your senses, you will only continue to affirm, I am poor. And as long as you affirm that state, the law of consciousness must respond. It has no choice. It must reflect back to you exactly what you claim to be. Instead, you must turn your back on the evidence of the senses. You must enter the silence of your own heart and boldly assume a new identity. You must say deep within yourself, I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am secure. You do not say this to a God on the outside. You say it to the God that you are. You feel the reality of it. You wear the feeling of wealth until it becomes as natural as the clothes on your back. This is what it means to live in the end. It is the ability to walk through a world of lack while internally feeling the thrill of abundance. When you truly occupy the state of your wish fulfilled, the physical world has no choice but to conform. The I am within you in chief, and all the circumstances of life are its obedient soldiers. They must march to the beat of your inner conviction. You might ask, but how can I say I am something when my eyes tell me I am not? This is the test of the true creator. Can you believe in the unseen? Can you trust your imagination more than you trust the cold, hard facts of the material world? Remember, the material world is the past. It is the dead reflection of your previous assumptions. If you react to it, you are merely perpetuating the past. But if you ignore it and dwell in the new assumption, you are planting the seeds of a new future. There is no one to change but self. This is the most liberating truth in existence. You do not need to beg for a promotion. You do not need to trick someone into loving you. You do not need to struggle for health. You simply need to change your internal definition of yourself. You must rise to the level of the thing desired. You must become it in your imagination first. When you walk down the street, do not walk as the person you were yesterday. Walk as the person you intend to be. Breathe as that person. Think from that person's perspective. If you were already the man or woman you want to be, how would you view the world? What would your inner conversation sound like? This is the secret of the I am power. It is not about getting something. It is about being something. The Bible tells us, let the weak man say, I am strong. It does not say, let the weak man pray for strength. It tells him to claim it, to seize it, to wear the garment of strength until the weakness vanishes. This is the divine right of every human being. You are the architect of your own destiny, and your imagination is the blueprint. Do not be afraid of your own power. Do not shrink back into the old habits of victimhood. The moment you realize that I am is God, you realize that you can never truly be a victim again. No one has power over you unless you give it to them by assuming they do. No circumstance can hold you back unless you believe in its reality. Tonight, as you lay your head on your pillow, realize that you are entering the most sacred space of the day. As you drift into sleep, the I am within you is highly receptive. Do not take your problems to bed with you. Do not fall asleep thinking of your debts or your loneliness. Instead, drape yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Fall asleep in the conscious assumption that you already are what you want to be. As you do this, you are speaking directly to the depths of your own soul. You are telling the Creator exactly what to build for you tomorrow. And as sure as the sun rises, the I am will bring that state into your physical reality. This is the law. It cannot fail. It has never failed. Wake up to your true identity. Stop being a servant to your circumstances and start being the master of your assumptions. You are the light of the world. You are the temple of the living God, and that God is your own wonderful human imagination. Go forth and create a world that is worthy of the divinity within you. Assume the feeling. Persist in the assumption, and watch as the universe reveals the magnificent power that has been yours since the beginning of time. You are the I am, and that is the only truth you will ever need to know. Imagination is the only reality, the world of shadows. We are living in a world of shadows, yet we mistake the shadow for the substance. Most of us spend our entire lives reacting to the screen of space, believing that the things we see with our physical eyes are the primary cause of our joy or our sorrow. But I tell you, the world you see is not the cause. It is the result. It is a dead reflection of a living reality that exists only in one place, your own wonderful human imagination. When I say that imagination is the only reality, I am not speaking of a flight of fancy or a daydream. I am speaking of the fundamental creative power of the universe. If God creates all things, and if God and the human imagination are one and the same, then it follows that your imagination is the divine power that calls the stars into being and brings the bread to your table. There is nothing in this world that was not first an imaginal act. Look around you. The chair you sit in, the clothes you wear, the very device you are using to hear these words, each of them was once just a flickering image in someone's mind. They were imagined into existence before they were ever manufactured into form. You must come to understand that the physical world is a delayed echo. It is like the light of a star that reached your eyes long after the star itself has moved or changed. When you look at your bank account or your health or your social standing, you are looking at the past tense of your imagination. These are the fossils of your previous thoughts. To try and change the world by manipulating physical things is as futile as trying to change your face by scrubbing the mirror. The mirror cannot change until the person standing before it changes. Many of you are afraid to believe this because it places a tremendous responsibility upon your shoulders. It is much easier to blame the government or the economy or your upbringing for your failures. But the moment you realize that imagination is the only reality, you lose the luxury of being a victim. You realize that you have been the architect of your own prison, but you are also the holder of the key. Every moment of the day, you are imagining. You are holding inner conversations, you are rehearsing future arguments, or you are dwelling on past hurts. These are not idle thoughts. These are imaginal acts, and they are the true substance of your life. The universe does not care if you are imagining something you want or something you fear. It simply says amen to whatever you feel to be true. It is a neutral medium that takes the seed you plant in your imagination and grows it into a harvest in your physical world. If you would truly master the art of living, you must learn to withdraw your attention from the evidence of the senses. Your senses are liars. They tell you that you are limited by space and time. They tell you that you are small and that the world is big and threatening. But your imagination knows no such limits. In your imagination, you can be anywhere. You can be anyone. You can possess anything. And because imagination is the only reality, when you truly occupy a state in your mind, you have already created it in the only place that matters. Let us be practical. If you want a specific house, do not merely look at the pictures in a magazine and wish for it. Wishing implies that you do not have it. Instead, you must go into the house in your imagination. Feel the grain of the wood on the banister. Smell the fragrance of the flowers in the garden. Hear the sound of your own key turning in the lock. You must stay in that imaginal state until it takes on all the sensory vividness of reality. When you open your eyes and find yourself back in your old apartment, do not be deceived. The house is already yours. You have claimed it in the realm of reality, and the shadow world must now rearrange itself to manifest that house for you. This rearrangement is what I call the bridge of incidents. You do not need to figure out how it will happen. You do not need to plot and scheme. In fact, if you try to force it to happen, you will only interfere with the process. The ways and means of the imagination are beyond the reach of the analytical mind. A series of events will unfold, events that may seem like coincidences or accidents, that will lead you step by step to the fulfillment of your desire. I have seen men and women transform their lives in a matter of days simply by changing the mental diet of their imagination. They stopped feeding their minds on the shadows of poverty and began to feast on the substance of wealth. They stopped imagining illness and began to feel the thrill of health. They did not work harder. They did not change their physical habits. They simply changed the reality they were inhabiting within. You must become so convinced of the reality of your imaginal act that you are no longer moved by the world outside. If someone tells you it is impossible, you smile, because you know it is already done. If the news tells you the economy is failing, you remain unmoved, because your economy is governed by your imagination, not by the world. You are a king in a world of shadows, and your word is law. The great tragedy of humanity is that we have forgotten who we are. We have fallen asleep and become lost in our own dreams, mistaking the dream for the dreamer. But now, it is time to wake up. It is time to reclaim your throne. Stop bowing down to the idols of the physical world. Stop being afraid of things that are merely reflections. Instead, go within. Close the door to the outside world and enter the sanctuary of your own mind. What do you want to see reflected on the screen of space? What kind of world do you want to live in? Imagine it now. Feel the reality of it. Clothe yourself in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remember, your imagination is the very power of God. It cannot be defeated. It cannot be thwarted. The only thing that can stop your imagination from manifesting is your own doubt, your own tendency to turn back to the shadows and believe they are real. Do not look back. Like Lot's wife, if you look back at the old state, you will be frozen in it. Look forward. Look only at the state you desire to be. Dwell there. Walk there. Sleep there. And as you do, you will find that the shadows begin to shift. The world of form will begin to melt and reshape itself to match the glory of what you have seen in your mind. For there is no other reality. There is only the I am, imagining itself to be this, that, and the other. And you, my friend, are the director of that great play. Make it a masterpiece. The Bible as a psychological blueprint. The drama of the soul. Most of the world is asleep, cradling a book they do not understand. They read the Holy Bible as if it were a record of events that took place on the sands of Galilee or the hills of Judea 2,000 years ago. They search for the footprints of a man in history, hoping to find a physical savior who walked the earth. But I tell you, you will never find him there. You are looking in the wrong place. The Bible is not history. It is not a record of the past. The Bible is a profound, psychological drama that is taking place, even now, within the soul of every living being. When you open those sacred pages, you are not reading about other people. You are reading about yourself. Every character, from Adam to Jesus, from the lowest beggar to the highest king, represents a state of consciousness through which you, the individual, must pass. The stories are not descriptions of external events, but are instructions on how to use your own mental and spiritual faculties to rise from the limitations of the flesh to the glory of the spirit. Let us look at the central figure of this great drama. Who is Jesus Christ? The world would have you believe he was a carpenter's son who lived and died in a distant land. But if you search the scriptures with an awakened eye, you will see that Jesus Christ is defined as the power and the wisdom of God. And where is this power located? Paul tells us, do not realize that Jesus Christ is in you. I tell you, Jesus represents your own wonderful human imagination. He is the Savior, because it is only through your imagination that you can be saved from any unwanted state. If you are in prison, it is your imagination that sees you free. If you are sick, it is your imagination that envisions you healthy. He is the one who walks upon the water of your unstable thoughts and commands the storm to be still. When the Bible says that all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made, It is speaking of your creative power. Nothing exists in your world that did not first enter through the doorway of your imagination. But an imagination that is wild and undisciplined cannot perform the miracles of the Christ. This brings us to the 12 disciples. They are not 12 men who followed a leader through the dusty streets of Jerusalem. No, the disciples represent the 12 disciplined mental faculties that you must develop and bring under your control. Consider Peter. Peter represents the faculty of faith, not a blind belief in something external, but the ability to remain steadfast in an internal conviction despite all evidence to the contrary. When Peter is called, it means you have finally disciplined your mind to stay focused on your desired state. Consider Thomas. Thomas represents the analytical, doubting mind that demands physical proof. He must be disciplined to believe in the unseen before he can see it in the world. When you call your disciples, you are organizing your mind. You are taking your scattered thoughts and directing them toward a single, focused goal. Without this discipline, your imagination is like a king without an army, capable of great vision, but unable to execute it in the world of form. Now, let us speak of the most misunderstood moment in all of Scripture, the crucifixion. The world weeps at the foot of a wooden cross, believing it to be a symbol of death and suffering. But the true meaning of the crucifixion is far more magnificent. It represents the limit of God. Imagine, if you can, the infinite being that you truly are, unbounded, all-knowing, and all-powerful. In order for that being to experience the thrill of discovery and the triumph of expansion, it had to limit itself. It had to cross itself onto a body of flesh. The crucifixion is the act of God becoming man. It is the divine consciousness narrowing itself down into the small, restricted state of a human being named you. God becomes you so that you, through the process of awakening, may eventually become God. This is not a one-time event in history. It is a continuous process. Every time you assume a feeling of limitation, every time you say, I am small, I am weak, or I am a failure, you are crucifying the Christ within you. You are pinning your infinite imagination to the cross of your own narrow beliefs. But the beauty of the story is that the crucifixion is always followed by the resurrection. To be resurrected is to rise from a lower state of consciousness to a higher one. When you stop identifying with your problems and start identifying with your desires, you are rolling away the stone from the tomb. You are coming forth from the darkness of lack into the light of fulfillment. You do not need to wait for a physical death to experience heaven. Heaven is a state of mind, and the second coming is simply the moment you realize that you and the Father are one. Why is this a psychological blueprint? Because it provides a map for your transformation. If you find yourself in a wilderness of confusion, you look to the story of Moses. If you find yourself facing a Goliath of debt or opposition, you look to the story of David. These are not stories of how someone else succeeded. They are instructions on how you must use your internal power to overcome the giants in your own mind. The Bible uses the language of the heart. It speaks in symbols because symbols are the language of the subconscious. When the Bible speaks of vineyards, it is speaking of your mind. When it speaks of sheep, it is speaking of your thoughts. When it speaks of the promised land, it is speaking of the state of the wish fulfilled. I urge you to stop reading the Bible as the history of a people who have long since turned to dust. Start reading it as your own autobiography. When you read that God said, "Let there be light," realize that this is a command you must give to your own consciousness when you are in the dark. When you read that Jesus turned water into wine, realize that this is your ability to take the water of a common, colorless life and transform it into the wine of a rich, vibrant experience through the power of your assumption. The miracle is not that a man once performed these acts. The miracle is that you can perform them now. You are the protagonist of the Holy Scriptures. You are the one who must be born of a virgin, meaning your new state must be conceived in a mind that is virgin to the doubts and prejudices of the world. You are the one who must walk on water. You are the one who must rise from the dead. This realization is the most radical shift a human being can make. It takes you from a state of begging to a state of commanding. It takes you from being a servant of a distant God to being the master of your own destiny. You no longer look for signs in the heavens or omens in the world. You look only at the blueprint of your own mind. When you understand that the Bible is a psychological drama, you finally understand the meaning of faith. Faith is not believing in a historical person. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. the evidence of things not seen. It is the ability to walk in the psychological state of being the person you want to be, even while the physical world denies it. I want you to take this blueprint and use it. Do not just hear these words. Become the actor in the drama. Take your imagination, your Jesus, and lead it into the state you desire. Call upon your disciplined faculties, your disciples, to keep you focused on that state. And if the world tries to crucify your dream with its doubts and its logic, remember that you have the power to lay your life down and the power to take it up again. You are the author, the director, and the lead actor in this divine play. The script has already been written for your success, but you must be the one to speak the lines. You must be the one to assume the role. The truth that sets you free is the discovery that you are the very God of whom the Bible speaks, and your imagination is the power that brings the script to life on the stage of the world. Stop looking for the Savior in the pages of history. Wake up and find him where he has always been, behind your own eyes, within your own breath, and at the very center of your own wonderful human imagination. This is the truth that Neville Goddard discovered, and it is the truth that will transform your world. Everyone is you pushed out the mirror of relationship. Now, let us move into a territory that many find difficult to accept, yet it is the very foundation of your freedom. It is the concept of everyone is you pushed out. If you truly understand that there is only one God, one consciousness, then you must come to the inevitable conclusion that there is no other. The world is a mirror. Every person you meet, every friend who supports you, and every enemy who thwarts you is nothing more than a reflection of a state of consciousness that you are currently occupying. You think you are living in a world of billions of independent actors, each with their own whims and their own power over you. But I tell you, there is only one actor in this great drama, and that actor is God. Since God and your own wonderful human imagination are one, then you are the one writing the script, directing the play, and assigning the roles to everyone who enters your world. They are simply playing the parts you have assigned to them through your persistent thoughts, your secret assumptions, and your deep-seated feelings about yourself. Stop for a moment and look at the people in your life. Look at the boss who treats you unfairly. Look at the partner who is cold. Look at the stranger who is rude. You might think they are the cause of your distress. You might try to change them, to argue with them, or to beg them to treat you better. But this is as foolish as trying to change the reflection in a mirror by reaching out and scrubbing the glass. You must change the face that is looking into the mirror. You must change your internal assumption about that person, and more importantly, your internal assumption about yourself in relation to them. If you believe that people are difficult, they will be difficult. If you believe you are unloved, people will act in ways that confirm your lack of love. They have no choice. They are under divine compulsion to reflect your internal state back to you. They are messengers telling you who you are being in your imagination. When someone treats you with unkindness, do not react to them. Instead, go within and ask, what assumption have I been harboring that would allow this to happen? You see, the world is a giant sounding board. Your thoughts are the vibrations, and the people around you are the echoes. If you don't like the echo, you don't shout at the wall. You change the note you are singing. If you want someone to be kind, you must first see them as kind in your imagination. You must hear them telling you how much they admire you. You must feel the thrill of a harmonious relationship before a single word is spoken in the physical world. I have seen the most impossible people transform overnight. I have seen bitter enemies become the closest of friends, not through compromise or conversation, but through the silent, secret work of the imagination. When you change your concept of another person, you literally recast them in your play. You release them from the old role of the villain and invite them to play the role of the hero. And because there is only one consciousness, they will feel that shift. They may not know why, but their behavior toward you will change to match the new image you are holding of them. This is the great secret of intercessory prayer. Real prayer is not asking a God on the outside to change someone's heart. Real prayer is changing your own heart about that person. It is seeing them as they would be if they were already the person you want them to be. When you see them in their wish-fulfilled state, healthy, happy, and prosperous, you are performing a divine act of love. You are lifting them up by lifting up your own perception of them. You might say, but Neville, they really are mean. I have proof. I tell you, Your proof is only evidence of your past assumptions. As long as you look at the proof, you are feeding the old state. You are keeping the mean version of that person alive in your world. You must be bold enough to ignore the facts and persist in the truth. The truth is that everyone is a shadow of your own internal being. This means that you never have to fix anyone. You never have to manipulate anyone. You never have to win anyone over. You only have to change your own internal conversation. What are you saying to them in the silence of your mind? Are you arguing with them? Are you defending yourself? Or are you hearing them congratulate you? Are you feeling the warmth of their approval? These inner conversations are the blueprints for your outer relationships. Everyone is you pushed out. This is the ultimate law of liberty. It means that no one is your enemy and no one is your master. You are the sole authority in your universe. If there is discord in your world, look within. If there is lack in your world, look within. If there is loneliness, look within. The other is only a phantom, a ghost of your own creation, waiting for you to give them a better role to play. When you walk down the street today, look at the people you pass and say to yourself, that is I pushed out. See the divinity in them, even if they are currently playing a lowly part. Know that they are all here to serve the expansion of your soul. They are all actors in your divine comedy. Be careful what you think of others, for you are literally thinking it into existence. Do not judge, for the judgment you cast on another is a judgment you are casting on yourself. If you see someone as a failure, you are inviting the state of failure into your own world. If you see someone as blessed, you are opening the door for blessings to enter your own life. There is only one Father, one Son, one Spirit, and that one is the I Am within you. When you truly realize this, your heart will be filled with a great compassion. You will stop fighting the world and start loving it into a better state. You will realize that to love your neighbor as yourself is not just a moral commandment. It is a practical necessity because your neighbor is yourself pushed out into the screen of space. Assume the best of everyone. Expect the best from everyone. And most importantly, assume the best of yourself. For as you see yourself, so the world must see you. You are the source. You are the cause. You are the only one. The law and the promisee, the grand awakening of the soul. Now we come to the pinnacle of my message. Many of you have come to these teachings because you want something. You want a better home. You want a larger bank balance. You want to find the companion of your dreams or to see your body restored to radiant health. And I tell you, you are entitled to these things. This is what I call the law. The law is the practical application of your divine power to change the circumstances of your life. It is the discovery that your imagination is the fruitful vine, and by planting the seeds of your desire and nurturing them with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can harvest whatever you choose from the screen of space. But do not mistake the gift for the giver. Do not become so enamored with the things you can create that you forget the one who is doing the creating. For there is a second, far more profound experience awaiting every child of man. It is what I call the promise. While the law is about getting, the promise is about becoming. It is the ultimate discovery that you are not merely a human being who has found a clever way to manipulate reality. You are the Creator himself, waking up from a long and deep sleep within the garment of flesh you call yourself. You see, the law is given to us to make life bearable while we are in this world of shadows. It is the staff that comforts us as we walk through the valley of limitation. It proves to us through personal experience that our thoughts have power. When you assume the feeling of wealth and then find that money comes to you from an unexpected source, you have proven the law. When you imagine yourself into a new position and the world rearranges itself to put you there, you have proven the law. These successes are necessary. They build your faith. They show you that you are not a victim of fate or a leaf blown by the wind. But eventually the things of this world will lose their luster. You will find that no matter how many houses you manifest or how much gold you accumulate, there is still a hunger deep within you that cannot be satisfied by anything external. This is because you were not made for things. You were made for the Father. The promise is the guarantee that one day the drama of life will come to an end, and the God who entered you at the beginning of time will finally emerge. The promise is a supernatural experience. It is not something you can earn through good deeds or study. It is an evolutionary step in consciousness. It is the moment when the Son of God is born within you. In the scriptures, this is described as the resurrection from the dead. But it is not the dead in the cemeteries. It is the resurrection of the divine mind from the dead state of human limitation. When the promise is fulfilled in you, you will realize that this whole journey, the centuries of wandering, the heart itches, the triumphs, and the struggles was a planned descent into the limit of contraction. God became you with all your weaknesses and fears so that he might rise in you, transformed and expanded by the human experience. You will realize that you are the very Father of whom the Bible speaks. You will recognize the David of the Psalms as your own son, and you will know, with a certainty that surpasses all human logic, that you and the Creator are one. Most people are content to play with the law. They spend their lives trying to manifest a slightly better version of their current prison. But I urge you to set your sights higher. Use the law, yes. Use it to live beautifully. Use it to help others. But keep your heart open for the promise. For when the promise is realized, you will no longer need to manifest anything. You will understand that everything already exists within you. You will no longer seek to get, you will simply be. The difference between the law and the promise is the difference between a dream and the dreamer. Under the law, you are learning how to have a pleasant dream. You are learning how to turn nightmares into beautiful visions. But under the promise, you wake up and realize that it was a dream all along. You realize that you were never truly born and you can never truly die. You were merely an infinite being exploring the possibilities of I am. Do not be discouraged if the promise has not yet been fulfilled in you. It is a gift of grace, and it comes in its own time. Your task is to continue using the law with integrity and bold persistence. Every time you successfully apply the law, you are thinning the veil between your human self and your divine self. You are preparing the way for the Lord. I want you to live in the grandeur of this dual reality. Walk the earth using the law to create a life of dignity, abundance, and love, but internally hold yourself in the quiet expectation of the promise. Realize that the power you are using to pay your rent or heal your body is the very same power that created the galaxies. You are handling holy fire every time you imagine. The truth that I discovered and the truth that I share with you now is that the journey of man ends in the realization of Godhood. You are not a miserable sinner. You are not a worm in the dust. You are the King of Kings, wearing a temporary mask of clay. The law is your scepter, but the promise is your throne. As you go about your business tonight and tomorrow, you become the master of the shadows because you know the light that is casting them. The universe is not something outside of you that you must satisfy. The universe is you. Your power is not a gift given to you by a master. It is your own nature. Use it, claim it, and eventually let it wake you up to the glory that you had with the Father before the world was. Be still and know that you are God. Not just a part of God, not a servant of God, but God himself having a human experience until the day you wake up and remember who you truly are. That is the promise. And it is yours now and forever. And now, my friends, go into the silence. Do not look back at the shadows, for they have no power of their own. Walk this earth with the conscious knowledge that your imagination is the only reality and that your I am is the very God that brought the worlds into being. The play is yours. The power is yours. And the awakening is certain. Blessings to you.